All right, lesson 3 is on the slope formula. To find the slope of the graph, Aiden counted the rise to be 6 and the run to be 8, and he set up the ratio as 6 over 8, which he then simplified to 3 over 4. If we look over here at the rise, remember you have to be very careful to see what the rise is counting by on the y-axis. Okay, the rise deals with the y's, so if we look over here, it's going by 2's. So this is really 2, 4, 6, a rise of 6. And then the run, we run left and right, that deals with the x's. If we look down here, this is also going by 2's. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's how he came up with the 8. And then he wrote his fraction and simplified it, which that's what you did in the last lesson, so that shouldn't feel any differently. All right, look at the next bulleted point. It says using the ordered pairs. Now, just to make sure we're on the same page, this is an ordered pair, 16, 16, and this is the other ordered pair, 8, 10. So using the ordered pairs, how else could Aiden have found the rise to be 6? So if you look at these ordered pairs, remember the rise goes up and down. Okay, think the rise deals with the y's, and in an ordered pair, we have an x and a y value for each. So if we look at the y values, 16 and 10, how could he get 6? Well, he could have subtracted them. So we're going to write subtract the y values, and then we're going to go ahead and show what that was. 16 minus 10 equals 6. Okay, and then it says using the ordered pairs, how could Aiden have found the run to be 8? Well, if we look at the x values, we could do the same thing, but with the x values. So we could subtract the x values, which would be 16 minus 8 equals 8. The slope formula can be described as the following, and we've talked about the rise over the run, okay, but now we're looking at the ordered pairs. So the rise deals with the y's, the difference in the y values, the change in the y values, over the run, the difference in the x values, the change in the x values. So because of these ratios, the formula, which you'll see pretty frequently for slope, looks like this. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. When I say x sub 2 and y sub 2, that simply just means the sub 1 stands for my first ordered pair of x and y, and the sub 2 stands for the second ordered pair of x and y. And then you've got a little diagram over here to the right. Okay, let's try some. Use the slope formula to find the rate of change, which we know now that rate of change means to find the slope. They mean the same thing in each representation. Show all of your work. Okay, so if we look at our x values, we have 0, 1, 2, and 3. And our y values in the table are 5, 5.5, 6, and 6.5. So every ordered pair has an x and a y. So this one is like, if we were to write it in parentheses, this would be 0, 5. This one would be 1, 5.5, 2, 6, and 3, 6.5. So we have 4 ordered pairs here. However, if you go back up here and look, how many ordered pairs do we need in order to have a line and find the slope of that line? We really only need 2 ordered pairs. We've got a pair here and a pair here. So while we have 4 ordered pairs in this problem, we only need to choose 2. Now personally, if it were me and I got to choose, I would choose the ones that didn't have any decimals, or maybe they were easier to work with. So I'm going to choose 0, 5 and 2, 6. So remember, for our formula here, we, in order to find the rise, which is our numerator, we subtract the y's. Now, if we want to do 5 minus 6, that's fine, but then for the run, we have to do 0 minus 2. If for the rise we decide to do 6 minus 5, then we have to come back and do 2 minus 0. We've got to keep things consistent here. So I'm going to do 6 minus 5, and then on the denominator for the run, I have to do 2 minus 0. Well, 6 minus 5 is 1, and 2 minus 0 is 2, so the slope is 1/2. Let's try number 2. The same idea here. We got to pick 2 points. And you could pick any 2 points. I'm going to pick these 2 points, but you could have picked any 2 and we would get the same answer. All right, so let's start with the rise for our numerator. Remember, the rise deals with the y's. So I'm going to do 62 minus 22. And if I do that, what do I have to do for the run on the bottom? Should be 8 minus 3. Okay, now 62 minus 22 is going to be 40, and 8 minus 3 is going to be 5, and 40 divided by 5 is 8, or 8 over 1. You can write it both ways. So the slope is 8, or 8 over 1. All right, let's look at this example. So here we have a line, and you can see that we have 2 ordered pairs here. Now, if we had been given this in a previous lesson, we would have just drawn our triangle like this, and we would have counted our rise and our run, and we'd have our fraction. But since this lesson is focusing on the formula for slope, let's write what our ordered pair would be for this first dot. So we're at 0, and we don't move right or left, but then we go up 80. So that ordered pair is 0, 80. And then for this dot right here, we're at 0, the origin, and we have to go 5 and then 50. Remember, with ordered pairs, your ordered pairs are always your x and then your y. So you have to go on your x-axis first before you can go up. All right, so your ordered pair for this one would be 5, 50. Okay, so for the formula, subtract our y's. So I'm going to do 80 minus 50. And if I do 80 minus 50, then I've got to be consistent and go back to that first ordered pair. And I'm going to actually have to do 0 minus 5 in the denominator. So 80 minus 50 would be 30. And 0 minus 5 is negative 5. And then we can divide, and 30 divided by negative 5 would be negative 6. If you're watching the video, hold on for just a minute. All right, so let's look on to number 4. So if we have the ordered pairs here, we've got x and y and x and y. So we're going to subtract our y values first. So I'm going to do 7 minus 4. And then in the denominator, because I started with this ordered pair and I did 7 minus 4, I have to come back to this ordered pair and do 1 minus 2 for the denominator. And we always subtract our y's in the numerator. Just remember, rise over run. Rise deals with the y's. It kind of rhymes. 7 minus 4 would be 3. 1 minus 2 will be a negative 1. And 3 divided by a negative 1 is a negative 3. Or if you want to write it as negative 3 over 1, you can. If you're feeling pretty confident, you can pause the video and try the next couple and see how you do. I'm going to keep moving along here. If you want to just keep working with me, you're welcome to do so. All right, so we label our x and our y's, and up top we're going to subtract our y's. I think this time I want to start with my 0, so I'm going to do 0 minus negative 2, and on the bottom, negative 1 minus 3. Now because I've got minuses there, I'm going to do my keep, change, change, and then keep, change, change there. So 0 plus positive 2 is 2. And negative 1 plus a negative 3 is a negative 4. And that can simplify to a negative 1/2. Number 6. Again, label your x and your y. So I'm going to subtract my y's. So it's going to be 5 minus 3 and 5 minus 1. 5 minus 3 is 2. 5 minus 1 is 4. Again, if you're not understanding the simplifying, I'm looking to see what they can both divide by. These can both divide by 2, and that gives me 1/2 for my slope. All right, number 7. Nothing is changing just because we have some decimals. It's still the same idea. Subtract the y's. So I'm going to do 3 minus 0. So if I do 3 minus 0, what do I have to do in the denominator? I have to come back to where I had that 3 for the y value, and I have to use that x value, 3.5 minus 4.25. 3 minus 0 is 3, and then 3.5, and if you need to use a calculator, you can. Minus 4.25 would be a negative 0.75. Okay, and then if you do 3 divided by a negative 0.75, you get a negative 4. Okay, moving along. Label your x and your y. So we subtract our y's first up top. 3/4 minus 3/4, since they happen to be exactly the same. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then 5 minus 2 in the denominator. Well, 3/4 minus 3/4 would be 0, and 5 minus 2 is 3. 0 divided by any number is always going to be 0. Remember, that means that this line for these 2 points must be a horizontal line. It has a slope of 0. Okay, number 9. Label. So I'm going to do 3 minus 2, and then 7.5 minus 7.5. 3 minus 2 is 1. 7.5 minus 7.5 is 0. And we cannot have 0 in the denominator. That is not okay. So if that happens and you were to type 1 divided by 0 in your calculator, it would say error. So when this happens, this means that the slope is undefined. That's one of those vertical lines if you graph them. Okay, number 10. The table shows the relationship between the number of songs Alicia has purchased and the cost of her purchase. Find the rate of change or the slope. Okay, these are my x values and these are my y values. Now again, how many ordered pairs do you need in order to find the slope? You only need 2. So I'm going to choose this pair, and I'm just going to choose the next one. It doesn't matter which 2 you pick. They don't even have to be side by side. So I'm going to do 6.24 minus 3.27, because remember, we find the rise first, which means we subtract the y's, and then I'm going to do 5 minus 2 in the denominator. All right, so you're going to do 6.24 minus 3.27, and you're going to get 2.97, and 5 minus 2 is 3. If we divide that, we're going to get 0.99. That's what the slope is. That's what it's changing by. So, starting with her 2 songs, after that, for each song that she has added, it ends up being an extra 99 cents. Okay, number 11. The table shows the distance that Andy and his friends have left on their road trip based on the number of hours that they have driven. Find the rate of change or the slope. So this represents the x, the hours that they've driven. So after driving 1 hour, they still have 360 miles remaining. That's the y value. And then after driving 3 hours, they have 240 miles remaining, and so forth. I'm just going to pick these 2. If you want to pick 2 different ones and then see if you get the same answer as me, you should do that, because that just proves that it doesn't really matter which 2 you pick. All right, I'm going to do 360 minus 240. That means then I have to go back and do 1 minus 3 for the run. Well, 360 minus 240 is going to be 120, and 1 minus 3 is a negative 2. And when you divide that, what do you get? negative 60. Or if you're thinking of a graph, negative 60 over 1 is the same thing. That means that their miles are decreasing 60 miles every hour that they drive. That's what this means. So every hour that goes by, they're accomplishing 60 miles. All right, last one. The post office charges a flat rate plus a cost for shipping based on the weight of an item. To ship a 2-pound item, it costs $6.09. So we write that like this as an ordered pair. And for a 7-pound item, it's $8.84. Find the rate of change, or find the slope. Okay, so we label our X and our Y, and then we just do exactly what we've been doing. 8.84 is what I'm going to start with, minus $6.09, divided by 7 minus 2. So $8.84 minus $6.09 would be $2.75 with a difference of 5 pounds. And when you divide that, you end up getting 0.55 is the rate of change. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.